This program is brought to you by Emory University.
We've been talking about the core of Indian democracy and the core of society, strong society in India as having a moral dimension. That moral dimension comes not imported from Western Enlightenment traditions, although it's engaged in that conversation certainly, but it really comes from a very ancient roots, as you've mentioned before in passing about kingship and society. And of course the term for this is a complex term I'd like to ask you to speak about, and that is the word dharma.
Well, Paul, dharma is a frustrating word because it can mean many things in many contexts.
Yes.
But without getting into that complexity, essentially when an Indian uses the word dharma, it means trying to do the right thing. It also means religion in contexts, but that's not the context in which it was used classically.
Yes.
During the freedom struggle for independence, Mahatma Gandhi used that word dharma. And Gandhi at that time used the universal sense of dharma. Dharma has a particular sense as well as a universal sense. So the universal sense we call sadharan dharma, and the particular sense, which is the duty as a caste, duty of a wife, duty of a husband, that's a particular sense.
Yes.
Is not what Gandhi meant or what I'm talking about.
Right.
What Ashoka took in the Buddhist, what Buddha took in his discourse was also the universal sense of dharma, and he called it dhamma in Pali.
Right.
So it is this what I'm suggesting is that yes, the country needs, the people need and to be a successful democracy, you do need a moral core. And this was the great insight of Tocqueville. And to me, that book, Democracy in America, is the best book that I have read on democracy. And what Tocqueville noticed was that Americans instinctively had certain habits relating to liberty, relating to equality, relating to volunteerism. They were joiners, you can say. They were joiners. And these were habits that were helpful in the flowering of democracy. So, in a sense, for us in India today, I mean, it is a bit bizarre that to invoke a traditional concept in the service of a very modern liberal idea. But having seen Gandhi's success, when he used it for a very liberal ideal of removing untouchability in the country. And he was successful. Well, not fully successful, but certainly his idea resonated. So that gives me an idea that today, that's something. I mean, we can't count on having another Gandhi, but a civic education which would try to inculcate the modern habits of the Constitution, the modern ideals of the Constitution, into habits of the people, habits of the heart.
Yes.
That dharma, the notion of sadharan dharma, could be helpful.
So,
Each country, each nation, or some nations at least, have a code word which unlocks, it's like a key, which unlocks the secrets of that country. Now, in your country, the United States, that code word is liberty. And a lot of good and bad things, including the Tea Party, is based on the code word of liberty. In France, it's égalité. And French will do crazy things in the name of égalité, the kind of legislation they will pass. Now, the code word for India is dharma. Today's anglicized upper class in India has been alienated in some ways from tradition because they see tradition as being the root of injustice, the caste system, and so on. So they risk throwing the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
And whereas what you need to do is what Gandhi did, which was to see elements that were good in tradition and use those ideas. After all, politics is myth-making.
Yes.
And so we're talking about myth-making through dharma.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.